Hi, it's Trent Clark, and welcome to Ask Me Anything. I'm the CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, longtime coach in professional baseball, coaching in 3 World Series, three, and I happy to be on here on Ask Me Anything. So thank you for joining. Get a lot of questions. Questions come in on my email. You can ask email at trent@leadershipity.com. You can DM me on any of our major networks on either Facebook, LinkedIn, or at Instagram. And so love to do that. You can find Trent M. Clark or Leadershipity. Today is Friday, and super excited to have a good couple of questions. For those that know me, I am not stoned. Like my eye, I broke a blood vessel in my eye, and my eye is a little bit red today and bloodshot, a little painful today actually, but on the mend hopefully. So, three really good questions for us today. And the first one comes to me is on teams. Like, how do I develop great teams? How do I get the right people in place? So, I want to take this from two perspectives because the hiring gap is so big right now. And for those who are on the hunt, there's lots of opportunity too as a person looking for a team to join. So, I'm going to take this from two perspectives today, which is first, if I own the team or I am running a team, how do I get those right people in place? Well, I love the idea of a good team from Bill Belichick, a good team. I'll know we have a good team when I've got when the people, my team members, all know what they need to do and they're doing it. So for people that are looking for great talent, I had a great conversation with Don Williams today. We were talking about talent, and one of his superpowers of retaining and recruiting talent is finding not only great talent, but good people, right? And so we want to find people that share our values. I'm a big believer in the not only finding good people that have good heart that really want to be where they're at, but I like the grit formula for developing talent, how effort counts twice, how valuable that is when you're developing talent. And I want talented people. And in professional baseball, we spent tons of time recruiting, signing talent, both at the amateur and the professional level. So you have one level of athlete that you're recruiting for, which is found in the beginning of athletics on the amateur level, right? People that have never competed at the professional level. But there is an equal amount of recruiting and dynamic that is spent into people that have surpassed the amateur level and now they are working towards the professional level. So with that, that's going to be pretty tons of time, tons of effort, a lot of asset and spend on getting that right talent is every day inside those organizations. Now, when I have a number of people come to me and say, "Hey, we really want to have great teams. We really want to have a great organization," but they're putting zero time, effort, and asset toward finding the right people, that's a challenge for me. I just don't think great teams and great organizations are just found with any people and developed from the inside, regardless of background, experience, talent. I don't believe that. I think those all have to come together in a number of things. So as we look at organizations, I would say first, I want a framework of, hey, is this person someone who has and shares our high quality values? And they have that. Now, two is, do they have experience, expertise, knowledge of what their role is going to be for us? And we can we can see that and they can come into our system and bring that experience and talent to it. Third is, can I continue to develop these person? Are they coachable? Is this person someone that we're going to grow with inside the organization and they want to grow with us? And then those last things kind of come around those ideas of like ideas of winning, ideas of loyalty, ideas of being contributors to the team, those intangible things that a lot of people just hadn't considered what we need at that top level. We talk about the pyramid of leadershipity, accountability around that. And there's a number of different factors that I would compare that to, but we want team members and we want them to have all the itties when we think about that. Like when we talk about integrity and humility to start, right? Quality, spirituality, so important. Stability is a big, of that framework. When you talk about those 5 iddies, those are foundational items that we need in our teams. And those are pretty critical things. Let me flip that around when we talk about um, if I am a person looking to join a team, what am I looking for in an organization? And I think that comes back to a number of factors too. Fortunately, there are probably a lot of opportunities out there for someone who's on the hunt, and more opportunities than there has been in the past. But that doesn't preclude the fact that they're good opportunities, right? Just because there's a job doesn't mean it's a good one. So we need to do our homework too about that organization of what is a good fit for me? Where should I be landing in? What is going to be a benefit to help me get to where I want to go? So as you look at the organization, I think again, you're starting right back with where are the values of the organization? Do I align with that? Like this is what the principles of the organization. You may know people that work inside the organization. Would you say that you characterize and share the values of those people? Do some homework on that first and foremost, right? Secondly, let's look at the leadership. I had a great quote from Don yesterday, which was really good, which is exceptional people require exceptional leadership. So if you're a person looking that you're going to get and be developed and work at it, all those things, that's awesome. But do you have those people in place inside this organization who are going to help you get from here to there where you really want to go? So those are key things that you're going to have to also decide, does that fit? Then, that thirdly kind of category is we're back into does all this geography, does all the principles of the matter stand and work within my framework of my family and all those things that I'm looking for. If I found a great organization, do I necessarily want to move to Hawaii and uproot my family and all these things because that organization is going to be of value? We have to consider some of the intangible things, the commutes, all those things about how they fit, what they're offering, the fiscal change that might mean to our families, benefits. All those things have to be weighed out when we look at an organization of what I will be given in like kind for my contribution to the firm. And let's make sure on both sides of this, that is an even exchange. I see where a lot of employees and a lot of employers get in trouble is there's not an equal exchange of that dynamic, which means I paid a lot for a contribution I never got from somebody, or I'm getting this great contribution and I'm not accommodating a value of that contribution accordingly. And when we look at sustainable companies, that's really critical because sustainability is built into, hey, if I'm making a great contribution in my company, I'm helping them, and in return that's creating more clients, more opportunities, more revenue, and that gives me job stability by increasing and creating that value. So there's a value exchange from good employers and good employees that is critical, and when that value exchange is out of balance, there are challenges in that. So let's always consider that. And then lastly, as an employee, ask yourself like, hey, where do I fit on all these? Do I have those iddies? Are there things I need to be working on? Am I getting less compensation for my lack of loyalty in the past? Or am I coachable? These things that like I want to develop, but if I'm not coming into the right attitude and ready to learn and be a part of that, we have to own and be very self-aware of where we stand in all this, and take responsibility for those things. So very important. When we're talking about teams, the people exchange and the value exchange is so critical, and it is a two-way street. So we are not ever either in one camp or the other of all company, all employer, or all employee, all team members. This has to work well together for the greater good of an organization. And the other side of this is the old T-shirt. Know your role, right? Like this is my role, and how do I deliver not only all the things in my role, the minimums, but go beyond that. And when everyone on the organization is doing that and willing, wow. I mean, organizations are collectively fabulous and well above competitors. All right. So I hope that answers your question on great teams and what I might be looking for. The second part of this is second question is the battle right now I'm facing in the current environment. I feel there's a battle of good versus evil in the environment. I'm like, that's interesting. I think a lot of people are feeling that that there is a negative connotation around media, and oh, it's all this negative news and bad things and evils, ruling over the world, and the evil inclination is just all around us, and there's shootings and there's trials and there's things in the public media that are forefront, and we do hear a great deal about those things. And we know from our history that dirty laundry sells. There's a lot of news and information, and the bad information and news far outweighs views of the good information and news. So, if you are challenged in that today and battling in that, it's so important that you get grounded in what you can do about it. And sometimes that may be just turn it off, right? Like, let's eliminate those voices of negative, of downside. That doesn't mean you're not informed. You want to stay informed to what's happening in the world. You can ask people, other people watch the news, communicate with people. You can find out a lot of information from that. But if this is becoming overwhelming, turn it off. Um, Two is get yourself back to gratitude. I mean, gratitude, there's so many blessings in our life. There's so many good things that I just encourage people to keep a gratitude journal, wake up every day, do some things. There's a couple things out there that you can find in books and different things that are out in the market. And there's journals on gratitude. So you can definitely pick that up, make your own. But each and every day, there are many things to start seeing around us each and every day, small things, big things that serve us, that are fabulous for us, and we take advantage of them because we don't think of them how good they are each day. And so, as we remind ourselves of those things, gratitude gives us a dopamine injection. It pumps us up. It moves us in a positive direction and keeps our mind clean of things and our hearts. So important. Really, really important to stay positive. Watch your self words in the battle of good and evil. It is easy to find words and be negative and negative connotation with yourself. I caution people with that. If you do not have an accountability partner around that, that may be something you do. Is someone close to you? You make a pact together and work at this. Like we're not going to have that. We're going to give each other a right and openness to call each other out if we turn negative or say negative things. But the first thing we have to check is the negative things we're saying to ourselves. That's really important because I hear a lot of content, and what I would like to remind people is we have some great people out there who follow great morals and ethics and values, and they would never talk to someone so poorly out loud. So if you find yourself beating yourself up with words, ask yourself, hey, would I tell my best friend this under a criticism? And if I did, what would that sound like? Because there are times in my life where I have said things to myself that I would cringe if I ever said that to a good friend out loud. I mean, it would be uncalled for, unanimously deviant and evil and critical and not helpful in any way. Yet I would use those own words to myself. Like that's not right. And so we need to check ourselves on that and be aware. I think the other thing is that for people that do not read uplifting things, the Bible, moral ethics, character readings, I would definitely encourage you to do that. I love the quote from the Bible. It talks about the book of the law creates freedom or creates liberty. And I think a lot of people think that moral training often creates like, oh, it's rules. There's so many restrictions. There's so many things around that. But living right and morally and ethically with our fellow man is, I think, is critical for us as we move forward and be a good friend, be a good partner, good husband, good father, good wife, good spouse, all those things, right? They become really um, absolutely essential. And so, what we fill our time with in that study becomes truly important. And when I think about the freedom and liberty that provides. I think I go the other side of that. Like if I make choices for me and I do what Trent wants to do all the time, and I don't think of others in that way, and I am selfishly taking from others, we know we have laws against that. I just can't walk to my neighbor's driveway and take their car. Like that's grand theft auto. Like, well, I deserve that. I was owed that. I work hard, or I can justify that in so many ways, but I know that's not right. And there's a moment where I can choose whether I really want to do that. And um, by choosing the right things in our lives, they become so critical. And the other side of that is my if I choose things that are against man's will, against ethics and morality and our laws, there's consequences for that, which do not involve freedom and liberty because consequences usually restrict freedoms and liberties, such as prison or jail or parole or other things we choose where we choose like, hey, I'm going to choose things that I know aren't healthy for me. And I do that every day, every day, every day. And I consistently make poor choices. Then I don't have the freedom of being without medication. I'll need medication for my disease or heart disease or high blood pressure or all these things that now I've created that by choosing what I want. Um, and so all this, hey, be yourself and do your own thing and do what you want and do what feels right for you and know your own truth and all those things. I find that to be the exact opposite of freedom and liberty because ultimately it creates walls of prisons and restriction that I don't want in my life, that I don't care for. So I would say just be aware of that. The last thing I'll come back to is I've felt down and I'm trying to get out of it. And what would I recommend? Well, there's a lot of things I'd recommend in that, right? And we've talked a lot about that on this show and other shows that I've done. But I would say the one thing that starts right away is there's probably 2 things actually, is if you are feeling yourself in a rut, so important that you get out and first serve others. How could you do something to serve somebody else? Because, when I've been in a rut in the past, it becomes self-centered. It becomes all I'm a victim. It's about me. What's not going okay for me? All these and me. I. There's a lot of self in inflection or inspection of what I've done and why I didn't get what I want and self-justification and a lot of challenge in that. When you're serving others, it's very hard to feel bad about yourself. That's not the go-to. It is not common. And the other side of this is, again, we touched on it a little earlier, is gratitude. Counting your blessings. If we count all the things that go wrong every day, um, then at least count all the things that go right, because there are so many. If you look, if you're simply willing to lean into all the great blessings of your life, and we are a blessed nation here in the United States. Um, it starts with the simplest things, right? And for most people in the US, like the three critical things of food, shelter, clothing is provided for 99% for sure. And so we have to be aware of that that's a blessing in itself, like of no given to me or no right. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily earned those things. Like I was born into an environment where those things have been provided uh, because of the abundance that's in our country and world right now. So that's great for me, but I don't know if I've done anything to benefit from it, but I do benefit from it. So what a blessing and so much to be thankful for me. The people that came before and worked hard to give me opportunities that I could create a living and do things. So you can keep going down the gratitude way, and you'll continue to find more and more people, events, things that have come out in ahead of you and have always been there to serve and guide you and give you value. And so much to be thankful for. And again, those things that you've been blessed with or what's going to get you back on to creating blessing for somebody else, creating opportunity, creating contribution for other environments. We just aren't very good contributors for others when we're in a woe is me and a negative self-inflection of ourselves about how things are not going well or right for us. So that would be my quick advice on getting out and getting ahead of the doldrums. And listen, I don't want to pretend like there's not clinical depression and challenges. And I think if you need a care, you should get it, please. Please search that. But these are trying times. These are challenging for people. And there is a lot of noise on the negative, and unfortunately, we are not getting enough noise on the positive these days. So I encourage you to seek the positive. There's so much out there today, and find it, grasp hold of it, and be a part of it. Be a part of being that positive change for somebody else too. So always wonderful to have you join me on Ask Me Anything, Coach Trent. And so thank you for joining me. And this is Friday, uh, December 3rd, and it's holiday season. So what a special time and so much to be thankful for the holidays. So grab onto your blessings and those closest to you. Appreciate them. Love on them this weekend. And we'll see you next week and next time on Leadership Needs. Ask Me Anything, Coach Trent.